Big Q, what it do?
What is up, Kev? How's it, man?
Hey man, things are good. Things are good. New Year's going great so far, especially for Chicago sports teams. The Chicago Bulls with two great comebacks over the last couple of days. Chicago Bears finally vanquished the demons of the Green Bay Packers, and then we got news on the Chicago Cubs, Blackhawks, Chicago White Sox, Chicago Sky. Of course, we're gonna touch on all that right after the intro. All right, good morning, Chicago sports fans. Welcome to another episode of Chi-Town Sports Central. It's your hosts here, Big Kev and Q in the building, man. Q, man, listen, last night, the Chicago Bulls put out another first half, or really three quarters, or two and a half quarters, where they just did not look like they were interested in playing basketball. It looked as though the San Antonio Spurs were going to run the Bulls out of the building at home again. They were on course for on pace for another loss at the crib, and then something clicked. I think really what clicked was taking Josh Giddey out the game and allowing other Bulls players to guard Chris Paul, who was having his way of basically just doing whatever he wanted to do offensively and getting his guys involved. Once that happened, the Bulls turned the game around. Kobe White, Zach LaVine, Nikola Vucevic all stepped up to take out the San Antonio Spurs last night, and it was a great game. How you feeling about how things went? I mean, even Kobe White caught a body. He dunked all on Victor Wembanyama's head.
I mean, it was a great game. They definitely were inspired by Derrick Rose. You can see it the way they're playing, and it all started after that halftime speech versus the Knicks. This is what you wanted to see. Now the goal is you have to see it all four quarters.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the Bulls have to work on is keeping this energy. But you saw a lot of good things that game. You saw a lot of what you used to see before Alonzo got injured. And the Bulls have been doing that the last couple of games, and you see it. Zach Levine is leaking out, and they're just getting a rebound and throwing it across the court. There's no
Mm-hmm.
thought. There's no trying to dribble up the court, caring about the point guard getting the ball. It's whoever has it, just throw it as far as you can to whoever's open. And that helps the Bulls be one of those teams that it's just hard to defend. It's easy to defend when you are a good defensive team and when you get back. But if someone's just by the rim and they're just launching the ball full court, you're kind of stuck at that point. So the Bulls got to keep doing that. Kobe's poster is just wild. I think that's the highest I've seen Kobe jump. Honestly,
Mm-hmm. He had to jump
um,
high, shoot.
yeah, you got some very mad Spurs fans talking about it's not a poster because Wimby was late, but
He
it was a
jumped.
great game overall.
That man tried to block the shot. You had
Hmm.
Zach LaVine with 35, Kobe White with 23, with including that dunk on Wembanyama, and then 24 from Vucevic and 11, another double double from him. Not much production from the bench, but the stats don't tell the whole story. You got 9 points from Jalen Smith, and then you got 5 points from Lonzo Ball. But Lonzo Ball had 2 assists, and both of those assists were very important, especially the one where he threw underhanded full court. He didn't just baseball, softball pitched it
Yep.
all the way up the court to Levine for an easy two-hand dunk, and that was part of the turnaround in the game. The Bulls outscored the San Antonio Spurs 32-15. That's like the second time that they've taken a fourth quarter and completely dominated in a row. Versus the Knicks, they did it in the fourth quarter, the third quarter, I believe, and then versus the Spurs, they've done it in the fourth quarter. And you got to give Billy Donovan some credit. I know it's hard to do with Billy Donovan, but you got to give him some credit on how he's been coaching these second halves for the Chicago Bulls. The rotations have been solid. Patrick Williams is beginning off to great starts to the games, but not necessarily finishing. He had 12 points yesterday, but 9 of those points were in the first quarter, if I'm not mistaken. He hit three threes in that first quarter and then pretty much disappeared after that. But again, Josh Giddey, bro. Josh Giddey was 3 for 12, 0 for 2 from 3. He did have 7 rebounds, 3 assists, but just 6 points. And he was getting killed by a 93-year-old Chris Paul, who ended up scoring 18 points, 9 assists, 6 rebounds, hit a couple of clutch shots in that fourth quarter, but all for naught because the Chicago Bulls were able to shut down Victor Wembanyama pretty much. 23 points on 22 shot attempts, 4 for 11 from the three. One of those threes was an attempt to tie the game late that he missed just barely. He went 2 for 6 from three, and then he had 9 assists and only, I'm sorry, he had 14 rebounds, 4 assists. So I think that's a pretty good job on Victor Wembanyama. 23 points and 14 rebounds. I know this sounds like a lot, but he was 9 for 22 from the field.
Yeah, I mean, they figured out how to stop him being a superstar that game, and that's what you need. You're not gonna stop him from scoring. You're not gonna stop him from getting rebounds. You just have to limit it as much as humanly possible within the game flow. As far as Chris Paul, I mean, Chris Paul is getting up there, but in those clutch moments, he was showing Vooch some some work,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the one thing I do think we have to talk about with the Bulls, and that's they need to understand to stop switching the damn pick and roll.
Mm-hmm.
Happens with every superstar. They just they put Vooch in the pick and roll, they switch him, and then they go to work, and then the Bulls go, "Oh shit, we can't guard this, but we're gonna switch next play too," and then the play after that, and no one gets the thought process to just not do it anymore. Like that's
I
where I think
mean,
Philly has to step
it's
up.
it's easier said than done. I get it. I play a lot of basketball still in my ripe age, and fighting through screens can be difficult sometimes. So the offense kind of dictates whether or not you're going to switch. So I get it, but I also understand where you're coming from. They got to fight a little bit harder, or at least figure out how to get back to the right matchup. Even if that means Zach got to force his way back over onto Chris Paul and get Vooch back over to the big man. But at the end of the day, Chris Paul is a veteran's veteran. He is what he is. He knows how to play basketball, and that's an IQ thing for him. He knows how to get the matchups that he wants to get. But hey, I'm gonna tell you this: Lonzo Ball. Every game I watch, it's like, hey, please resign this dude because the
Yes.
numbers don't tell you the full story of what he means to this team. We know what he means to the Ball brothers and helping LiAngelo write that song that's going viral right now, that tweaking joint. But at the end of the day, if we don't have Alonzo Ball, we don't win this game. I mean, obviously, Kobe White and Zach LaVine both being aggressive in that fourth quarter helped a lot. Vooch was only 2 for 9 from three, but he hit a big corner three toward the end of that game that
Yep.
kept the game close. When now Chris Paul started killing him on that pick and roll, and the Chicago Bulls are inching closer to 500 at 17 and 19 on the season, and they're improving their home record now because they've been losing at home a lot, but now they're 7-11 at the crib, and they got some very winnable games coming up here. Q The Pacers, who are right in front of the Bulls. The Bulls are just one game out of seventh place, 1.5 games out of sixth place. Like, it's a really muddied Eastern Conference, and honestly, 2 games out of fifth place right now, with the Milwaukee Bucks being 18-16. The Indiana Pacers and the Detroit Pistons are both playing their best basketball of the season. The Pistons, shout out to them, they're finally figuring it out there. But they're 8-2 in their last 10, and then the Pacers are 7-3 in their last 10. If they were playing the way they were playing earlier this year, the Chicago Bulls could very well already be in sixth or seventh place. But did this? They play the Pacers, which is going to show us where we really are because we're on the road on Wednesday, and then Friday they get a revenge game against the Wizards where they just got killed by the Wizards in DC last week. So they can find themselves at 500 by the end of the week, and then they go. The Kings come to town on Sunday afternoon. It's an early game on Sunday. The Kings are playing their best basketball. Coincidentally, after firing Mike Brown, they've won their last five, and then they get the Pelicans before they play the Hawks. I feel like we play the Hawks once a week. Then they got the Hornets. And then they got the Blazers. So the Chicago Bulls have an opportunity to win 4 or 5 out of their next 6 games. Man, how are you feeling? Do you see the Bulls as a team that'll be above 500 going into the third week of January?
It's really hard to say because with the Bulls, especially this team, they're so like different in games. It's not like something where you see some consistency. Like this team could literally at any point in any game come out and look terrible or come out and look like a great team. So it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of hard to say like who they're gonna beat and who they should beat because the Bulls are classic for this team is an easy win and the Bulls come out and play like they're the worst team ever to touch a court and we somehow get blown out like the Wizards last time. Like so you kind of have to put a caveat there. Personally, if the Bulls can continue to play like they have been in the third and fourth quarter of the last couple games, and Kobe is attacking, Patrick Williams playing aggressive, and Lonzo's getting good minutes, this team can definitely be above 500. If they play like that, they're gonna be good above 500. But it comes down to, will they keep this momentum, or is this a momentum thing from the Derrick Rose night? Is this one of those things where they're hyped right now from that night, the celebration, all of the, everybody, it's January. You all know who wants to lose weight, and you start going to the gym. You're super excited for the first couple weeks, and then it wears off. So
Well,
if it
I
wears off,
I would agree with you if they had come out hot yesterday following getting that comeback win versus the Knicks after the D Rose speech. But they came out yesterday super flat. Like super flat. Defensively, they did. Offensively, they were actually way more solid in the first half than the numbers dictate. But defensively, they gave up a lot to start the game. They were just allowing people like So Chan and people that didn't matter come out there and dominate early in the game. But at the end of the day, I agree with you. The Bulls are too inconsistent to determine whether or not they're going to take advantage of this seemingly weak schedule. You got a team in New Orleans who could be getting Zion. He's listed as questionable tonight in this game. So you also have the Wizards. Both of those teams have a combined 13 wins total, 6 wins for the Wizards, but they got to win versus the Bulls. 7 wins for New Orleans, and they got to win versus the Bulls. So at the end of the day, we're gonna have to see what they're gonna do. And then you got a Portland team with I think 9 wins as well, but they're better than their record too. So, but they do have a chance, and I guarantee you, none of us expected the Bulls to be a 500 team or team fighting to be 500 or have the same similar record to what they had last year when they still had Alex Caruso and DeMar DeRozan. It's pretty much the same old Bulls. It's basically stop me if you heard this before when it comes to the Chicago Bulls. But all right, man, if y'all want to hear anything else about the Chicago Bulls, head on over to Chicago Bulls Central, where Hayes does an amazing job covering your daily analysis for the Bulls. All right, moving right along. I guess we got to talk about the Bears, even if it's just briefly, because we haven't discussed the season so far, right? We haven't been on as a team pretty much since they've won the game against the Green Bay Packers. And even though the Bears finished 5-12 on the season, it definitely feels good to finish with a win. Like I feel like I could wear my Bears gear all the way through September now, knowing at least that we beat the Packers, which stopped a double-digit losing streak to them, and we won a game, which stopped a double-digit losing streak to the rest of the league. So it just feels good to see. And honestly, I think that it can help build confidence for Caleb Williams going into the offseason and heading into the next season. So all gears shift to who's going to be the next coach of the Chicago Bears. Because listen, the Chicago Bears are interviewing everybody. I'm not sure if they called you, but they hit me up last night like, hey fam, we want to ask permission. Can we get an interview real quick? See what you talking about. They trying to interview everybody. Ben Johnson is at the top of a lot of people's list. So is Mike Vrabel. A lot of people want to talk about Cliff Kingsbury, even though they can't interview him yet because they're in the playoffs. So you can't interview coaches that are still actively coaching. But Cliff Kingsbury is known to have coached Caleb Williams when he was a junior at USC. He had some good numbers then. I think that's when he won his Heisman Trophy, if I'm not mistaken. So, how you feeling about this coaching search for the Chicago Bears? What do you think about the approach?
scared. I'm still in the hurt, scared Bears fandom where I feel like they're gonna find a way to fuck this up. I truly do. Like they're gonna do all these interviews. Everybody can be like, "Yep, these are the top coaches," and Bears gonna go, "We found this diamond in the rough coach that we didn't talk about, but we think he's gonna be special." And they're gonna talk about who it is, and we're all just gonna be completely shattered. Like that's at this point, that's the trust I have in this team as far as their coaching and picking coaches. But I do agree with you as far as this was a win we needed. And you can see it, a win where we beat the Packers. We stopped 2 losing streaks. Caleb takes us on a great drive at the end of a game. Like it was everything you needed to see from this team of, okay, we could be something. Like maybe they're starting to learn some stuff. If they continue it, great. I want to see more of it next year, but this was something as a fan I needed to see. Because
Hmm.
I'm not gonna lie, when the Packers hit that last field goal, I was like, "Oh shit, this is what's gonna happen." When we lined up for a field goal again, I was like, "I swear to God, if we get blocked a
Mhm.
second time at the end of a game, like I couldn't take that heartache." So watching them win, watching them kind of go through that struggle is great. But yeah, I have no until I see it. There is no trust in this office to make the right decision on a coach.
You know why I
Uh,
feel confident, like right now at least, is because heads will roll. If the Bears fired a head coach for the first time during the season last season because of his ineptitude, if they hire a coach and we're sitting here in October, November, talking about a 3-win team, 4-win team, Ryan Poles is out of there. He gone, and he knows this. His seat is not just hot; it's volcanic right now,
yeah,
and he knows that he has to get this right. Not just this, because this ain't the only thing that needs to be gotten right. The Bears, we talked about this yesterday on Bear Central. The Bears have to have a 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E, 1F mentality right now. Everything is just as important as everything. Getting the head coach is just as important as getting the offensive coordinator, is just as important as getting the defensive coordinator, is just as important as hitting every draft pick. Like you got to hit on every draft pick, not just the first round, but every draft pick. I'm talking about even in the seventh round needs to be a player that's going to positively contribute to this team. Ryan
yeah,
Poles knows this, and that's why I'm confident that they will make the right choice. This all it is. Oh, we want to talk to the offensive coordinator from the Arizona Cardinals and the New York Giants, and we want to talk to Mike McCarthy and this, that, and the other. You better be just doing your due diligence to see what they think how the offense should look or how they feel the defense should look, and you take notes and you tell the coach that you're really going to hire. These are the things that we heard from some of the top minds in football. We want you to implement these different strategies to your team. Because if they hire Mike McCarthy or Arthur Smith, I'm going to be upset, bro. I'm not trying to see Mike. I mean, I know Mike McCarthy has the resume. He got that one championship that the Bears gift wrapped and handed to the Green Bay Packers back in 2009, but nothing since. Just a bunch of playoff teams that have underperformed. And in Dallas, not even playoffs. I mean, I know injuries matter and so on and so forth, but clock management matters as well. And I've seen Mike McCarthy coach himself out of playoff wins, not just regular season wins, but actual playoff wins. I'm not trying to see that, but we got listen. It's the young and the restless. It's General Hospital. It's definitely the soap opera known as the Chicago Bears, and we're gonna have to wait and see. We gotta take the wait and see approach as usual. Seems like every single season we gotta make sweeping changes over at Hallis Hall, but y'all already know what it is. If you want to hear anything else about the Chicago Bears, head on over to the Chicago Bears podcast, Chicago Bears Central with Hayes, Bobby, C Dub, Steve O, myself. We all pop in and out over there. And earlier we talked about the Bulls. Don't forget to follow the Shop Bulls podcast with Bobby and C Dub. All right, moving right along. The Chicago Cubs. Not much going on with the Chicago Cubs. This is still trying to figure out how to you know, bolster their roster. They've done a lot this offseason in order to make themselves contenders. Like I wasn't necessarily confident that they would be much better than they were last year until they started making the moves that they made. They brought in Kyle Tucker. They got rid of Cody Bellinger to get more money to make more moves. And they made a couple of other moves as well. Now looking to try to bolster their bullpen, and they're looking at of Carlos Estevez, former All Star from the Philadelphia Phillies, to try to become, get their bullpen ready because that's really what they got to do now. Like their starting pitching is looking solid, right? They already had top of the line talent in the front end of their starting pitching, and now the back of their rotation is looking even better. But that bullpen, I can't tell you how many times last. I mean, I can tell you it's almost 30 times the Chicago Cubs lost 1-run, 2-run games, late games that were tied in the 6th, 7th inning, and the bullpen just came in and blew it. This season, They have to have a strong bullpen to compete with the rest of the NL Central and the National League at large. How are we feeling about the Chicago Cubs right now, going into the new year? Are we thinking that they're going to be an 85 to 90 win team, or is it going to be more the same for these guys until they get that last little piece in that bullpen?
I hope they do great, but it's the same answer I had last time we talked about the Cubs making great moves. They have hurt me. I don't like I I will say I hope more for the Cubs to do well. I believe more in the Cubs doing better next year than I do the Bears and their coaching decision. I trust the Cubs at this point. I trust them front office wise to make moves to try to be better and to show improvement and make the right decisions there. It's just doing those things and being consistent with it. So I think they can be a good team. I think they're going to have some good wins. If you want to have a deep run, you got to get your bullpen set. You got to make sure you have the right pieces there. So that's going to be very important for them to become like an actual playoff. This team can go far type of team, but I will say I'm happy with what they've been doing. I definitely view them as a good team to watch next year. And like I said, I trust their move more than I trust the Bears' moves when it comes to their front office.
Yeah, I mean, listen, getting Kyle Tucker was incredible. He's one of the better players in all of Major League Baseball. And then the Cubs also picked up a player from Cleveland to make their bullpen better as well already. So listen, there's no reason to sit on your hands. There's no reason to just sit on your hands and say, "Oh, we're done. We got this done." They blew so many games last season. It just made it was rough. It was rough. Um, you know, there were so many games that each starter could have two or three more wins if it wasn't for the bullpen coming in and blowing games. You had Eli Morgan coming in from the Cleveland Cavaliers already to make the bullpen stronger, and now you're looking at a situation where you can go and grab this young man Estevez, and who had a strong season with the LA Angels, even though the Angels have been terrible. But then he also did well for the Angels and the Phillies in 2024 last year with 26 saves, 2.45 ERA, and a record of 4-5. So he's not necessarily a closer that's going to come in and just blow you away. But you can sign this guy for the cheap, 2 years, 23 million or so, 22 million, and have him go deep into then the Cubs can have their starters go 5-6 innings because that's how they do in the National League. Then you got your middle relief, and then you can have one of these closers come in with Porter Hodge and then Estevez and then the young man they grabbed from Cleveland. So I'm looking forward to seeing the Chicago Cubs this season more so than I was when the season ended. When the season ended, I just felt like they were in baseball limbo and they were stuck with the contract of who did I just say they just traded? I don't know why. I'm getting older, so my mind my mind just constantly loses people. But they just got rid of Cody Bellinger, and they got more money to play with, and they can make good on that by getting this young man to come on the back of the bullpen rotation. I expect the Chicago Cubs to be at least the 88 win team this year, just based on the moves that they've made so far. That's just me being frank.
Also, can we give a shout out to Big Mike?
Oh yeah,
Big Mike is killing it right now.
yes he is. That's my boy right there. Shout out to you, Big Mike, man. We love the contributions that my man has made to the network, holding it down for Chicago Cubs Central, taking a lot of weight off of my shoulders, trying to hold it down for both teams. And our Sunday conversations have been great, man. The channels are turning into what I envisioned when we created them 2 seasons ago. It's going to our third year now, and we finally have some consistency over there on Chicago Cubs Central. So shout out to Big Mike for all that he's doing. And of course, head on over to Chicago Cubs Central if you want any updates, news, and analysis there. And make sure you guys like, share, and comment. All right, headed over to the Chicago White Sox. The Chicago White Sox have a dark horse rookie of the year candidate. The episode has already dropped. It's already ready to go on Kyle Teel, the new catcher that they just picked up from the Boston Red Sox. And you got scouts and managers predicting that he could be a dark horse candidate to be Rookie of the Year for the American League at the catcher position. We already know what he brings to the table across 138 or so games in the minors over the last year or so. He's racked up 15 home runs, 29 stolen bases. It's just you're looking at a guy that's batting 300 with an 8 point something OPS. He's looking like a person that could benefit from a team that is as bad as the Chicago White Sox to go in and be dominant. But it all depends on how they do deal with like Corey Lee and the backup catcher over there. You got to make your way to the big leagues. But I expect him to play at least 90 to 105 games or so this year, depending on how the White Sox do. So if you guys are interested in hearing how we feel about Kyle Teel, head on over to Chicago White Sox Central with me. Your boy Big Bro is holding it down over there. The content is going to ratchet up as the news starts to get bet come in, stream in more for the White Sox. I mean, like if you click on White Sox news, they got information from like 4 weeks ago because that's just how quiet it is over there in the White Sox. But when it comes up, we definitely discuss it. So head on over to Chicago White Sox Central for more news, updates, and analysis on hopefully your favorite baseball team in Chicago, because I know a lot of people like the Cubs. All right, bro. Head over to the Chicago Blackhawks. They've been getting their asses beat lately. It's almost like any team that come to town gonna score 5 or 6 goals on the Chicago White Sox. But they has a game tomorrow against the Colorado Avalanche. Listen, the White Sox are bad, but Connor Bedard is must see TV. He's a really good player, bro. He's a really good player. It's just unfortunate that he's on a really, really bad team.
Mhm. It's something they got to do to help them out. Like that's honestly, as a generational player, that's got to be the worst feeling in the world to just sit there each game and be like, y'all suck. Like I can, man, if I would had a good team, the things I would do, and you just stuck in a hellhole every game.
Hmm.
I feel bad for him. I feel real bad for him.
Yeah, yeah, I do. I do too, man. So anyway, y'all already know. Head over to Chicago Blackhawk Central for updates, analysis, complaints. We don't really talk about hockey too much over here, but you already know Chicago Blackhawk Central holds it down. And finally, the Chicago Sky. Angel Reese is getting ready for her, what is it, Unrivaled.
Unrivaled.
Yeah, that's coming up. Camila Cardoso is killing overseas right now, so that's good to listen. That is good to see. She's over in China, bro. Just dominating. She's averaging 19.8 points, 9.7 rebounds, and 3 assists. That's crazy. And the other day, bro, you won't believe what she did, bro. Just take a guess at what she did.
What did she do? I know she scored 35 a couple games ago, I think. So
She had
what she do?
37 points on 15 for 18 shooting, 15 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 steals. That's crazy, bro.
She's getting those layups to go in finally.
It
She
ain't
was
just
missing
that.
she was missing them too. Shit.
She was, but she is like probably a foot taller than most of those players over there in China. So
Yeah.
it's good to see the ball go in, but hopefully that translates when she comes back to the WNBA and has to face much more formidable competition. But you gotta do what you gotta do. You can play the people that's in front of you. People, the young ladies
Mhm.
go overseas to hone their skills. So yeah, Camilla is killing overseas. Angel Reese, we're gonna see how she's looking in Unrivaled. And then, of course, the will she, won't she return to the squad? Kennedy Carter question is still up in the air.
Can they
But
can they answer that? I need to know. Like just lock it down. Let's stop with this game. Just she's pretty much one of your best scorers on the team. Just sign her. Like what are we doing here?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like this is what teams do to screw them up. Cordorso's looking great overseas. Angel Reese in her videos is looking like she finally is gonna know how to shoot again. Like she's looking like she's going back to actual like forward Angel. Why would you not want to keep Kennedy? like, like it's a bad move to let her go at this current moment. So
You need her.
I hope,
I think the
yeah,
real thing is they're trying to figure out what they're gonna do with their pick. And if they end up with one of these top tier point guards, they'll be okay with letting Kennedy go. But Kennedy off ball is still of an important player to have on your
Yep.
team. So we'll see, man. We will see. Dwayne Wade, get it together, my guy. Get these people in the right mind state. All right, y'all. Let's be coming up on the 30-minute mark, so we're not gonna hold y'all hostage any longer. Thank you for rocking with us over here on Chi-Town Sports Central. Don't forget to follow all the rest of the channels in the Chi-Town Sports family. Just type in your favorite team and then put Central, Chicago Bulls Central, and so on and so forth. And then, of course, NBA Central and the Chi Bulls podcast with C Dub and Bobby. It's your boy Big Kev holding it down for Q. And listen, we got Steve-O. Steve-O been trying to pop in, but sometimes this platform is just not. It's just say no soup for you. All right, man. We're gonna holler at you guys next time. Peace. He said he been trying to get in the last 20 minutes.